Hello and welcome to Release Date Rewind. My name is Mark J. Parker and I am a film lover, filmmaker, film celebrator. And normally this is an audio podcast wherever you get your podcasts on your favorite apps. But thanks to Portland Media Center, you are about to watch the video component of this show where I celebrate movie anniversaries with my friends. Each month, I usually talk about 2 different movies that I love with different friends, and we talk about the making of the movies, trivia, any fun memories associated with them. So I hope you enjoy, because now it's time to rewind. Kevin Costner looks like someone that would have worked for the president. You know what I mean?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
The hair, the whole vibe. He looks very Secret Service, you know?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's their love story. Although then, and here's the thing, first time watcher, and I had seen the ending before years ago, but like, you know, it wasn't really fresh in my mind. So yeah. I'm like, oh my God, does Kevin die? Oh my God, do they get together? No, neither. He doesn't die. He lives, he survives, and they're not together.
Which now, is, I think, it's a flaw. I think it's a flaw.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he has to be either one. Like I feel like he had to die, right? Or they have to get together. And it can't be this like in between thing. Like, oh,
right. Well,
like
let's just jump to it. What do you think of the ending? Like that last shot, she's singing the song, he's elsewhere. I'm like, because let me backtrack real quick. The scene in the middle, once they're on their date at the like dive bar, which is cute.
Oh, I love that.
Like it's a cute scene, and she finally like has made the move to ask him out, and he's very stoic, and like you said, like he doesn't want to mix business and pleasure, but he does like her. And I'm thinking, no one here knows Rachel Marin. She's not gonna
bizarre, right?
I thought like the waiter or waitress isn't even gonna ask her for an autograph. That'd be a cute moment, right? But no, she's only a major pop star, major award nominee.
Academy Award nominee, right?
Right? Okay, sure. This is a real dive outside of town. But so they're dancing and they hear the song, I Will Always Love You. It's I believe, a male singer that they're hearing, right?
Yeah.
It's a slower, more cowboy. She says, this song's pretty cowboy.
Cowboy song, yeah.
Right? And that's when I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why then later she sings her cover, which is kind of meta because her song is a cover of the Dolly Parton song. So
right.
That's kind of cool. But so then I'm like, that's when, you know, my 35-year-old brain seeing this for the first time, I'm like, oh, so that's why she sings the song later. And oh my God, Kevin Costner dies. Oh, that's so sad. But then cut to the ending, he doesn't die. And so then I'm like, oh, she's going to get out of that plane and she's going to say, screw it, let's be together. And he's going to say, yeah, let's be together. And then they're going to kiss and the camera goes around like 20 times around them. But no, it's their goodbye kiss. Then they're not even together. So yeah, what do you make of that? It's a little anticlimactic. I don't know if they should be together, but the way it ends, I'm like, oh, so he's just back to work, working for someone else. It's a priest and it just ends.
Yeah, which I never got that as a kid. I was always so confused.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I loved it as a kid. You know, I think it was just like, oh my gosh, this is so good. But then when you get older and you actually start like, you know, writing your own screenplays, you're like, okay.
Right.
You see the flaws in it. You see the flaws in it.
Yeah, you're like,
yeah,
I don't know about this.
It's kind of weak. Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, I love the whole airplane scene and the, you know, the weight. And she gets off and the music and the hug and like, it's so beautiful. And I'm like, why couldn't it just end there? Like, they should be together or he should have died. I mean, that's just like, I feel like the only 2 options. Why this like kind of like floppy fish thing in the middle, just like anticlimactic, like you said.
Yes, I wonder if because I had read, and maybe you did too. I read somewhere on some site that the writer Kasdan did say that in an early draft, it was very much confirmed they never saw each other ever again, which is interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I just thought. Like I said, my first thought was, okay, so he dies, and this is just such a sad kind of Romeo and Juliet-esque love story. You know, she doesn't die, of course, but at least like people that just weren't meant to be, right? Yeah, and that is so haunting, and we have plenty of great movies like that, right?
Yeah.
But then when he survives, I'm like, oh, they're totally getting together. This is gonna be a happy ending. Like he's gonna just kind of retire from this industry of like Bodyguard, and maybe he'll just kind of be like with her on her team or something. I don't know. But then not even that. So I'm like, and then like not even anything. I mean, sorry, no offense, people who are religious, but I'm like, he goes to like work for a priest or something where it's not really clear who he works for. I'm like, oh, now I'm just sort of depressed for him. You know? Which maybe that's the goal. Maybe he's
Maybe that
like,
is the goal, I guess.
right? I
He
don't
just can't
know,
settle
but
down. Is that what it is? Like he just will never be a
maybe.
person to settle.
Maybe his morals are so strong that he can't mix business with pleasure, that he's just gonna work for a guy he would never want to sleep with,
I guess
and
so.
he's just standing there. I
Watching.
guess the thing is, it would have been, I think, a better ending is, okay, so he's at this like political event or whatever, some special
Yeah.
gala. That's not the last scene. The last scene is, I don't know, he bumps into another colleague who's normal, not
Not
what's his
Portman.
name? Yeah, not Portman, the killer, a different person, or bumps into like maybe like a fan. Ooh, not a stalker fan, although that could be interesting. The Bodyguard
Yeah.
gets stalked. Ooh, sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it could just be like someone who's like, I read about you in the news. You're amazing. Oh my gosh, did you hear Rachel's new song or something, right? Because
Oh
she sings
yeah,
I Will
tie
Always
that
Love
in.
You.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would have been interesting if he kind of gives us something, because he's kind of
Yeah.
wooden. Gives us a little smile like,
Yeah.
yeah, I did. Yeah, like, is it true that it's about you? And he's like, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know. Something, right? Some sort of cute little, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it's cheesy. Am I cheesing it up even more? I don't know.
No, but
I
it's
just
like
feel
a nice little coda or something at the
yeah,
end.
a little
Yeah.
acknowledgement that like, yeah, like I did love her. I hear the song. I can't tell you anything about my, working relationship with Rachel, but thank you so much. And then off he goes, and they're excited, and it's kind of like, ooh, I don't know.
Or what if the freaking priest was the one who said it? What if it wasn't like this like weird little speech from the priest? It was just like
Right.
his first day at the job, and then the song is playing, or she's on
Yes.
TV, and he's like,
Right.
"Oh, didn't you used to work for her?" I mean, come on, Mark.
Yes. Oh,
Come on, Mark.
yes, Jason. screw the gala. We don't need to see all these
never
extras.
understood that.
Whatever. Instead,
Yeah.
they're on the way to the gala. They're in the car, and he's sitting next to Mr. Bishop or whatever. And her song
Yes.
is on the radio, which also would make sense because she's sort of just singing "I Will Always Love You," and it's a close up, so we have no idea where
You
she
know
is.
where she is. Yeah.
I assume it's an
Weird.
award show or something. It's a little weird, right?
Or
Yeah,
concert.
show
maybe.
that, and then they're listening to like her concert on the radio or whatever. They can, and so yeah, the priest is like, oh, I love this song, and that's why I had to hire you. I was so impressed with you at the Oscars, and yes, something just to kind of tie it all together, because there's
Yeah.
nothing really at the end there to like tie up his work, her career, and how
Yeah.
that was a moment. I mean, the Oscars watched, especially back then, right? Watched
yeah,
by
of
millions
course.
and millions of people. So he is famous, right? But there's
80
no
million
real like,
people probably.
right. What do you love about this movie, Jason? I know you've seen it 100 times.
Oh,
Can
yes.
you remember what you first loved as a kid? Was it the thrills, I guess, that really drew you in as a kid that still have a power over you today? Or what was it?
I don't know what it was. I just think seeing this like really gorgeous, beautiful black woman, just like, I don't know. Like, I just remember just being enthralled in her. And I was like, okay, she's an actor. Okay, I want to be an actress. I want people to feel the way that she's making me feel. So then I was like, I want to take acting classes. I want to be in movies. Like it was her, it was Whitney and the Bodyguard, The Fresh Prince, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were the three things where I was like,
What a trio. I love that so much. I mean, I was just today thinking of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, so that's really random
Yeah.
and awesome. But yeah, hey, that's a great list. That's a great inspiration. Yeah.
So I know, and I think it was also her voice, because I mean, the song was everywhere. I know, and I remember begging my parents to get me the soundtrack, and I remember I had like a tape recorded of the soundtrack. Like someone made a copy, like a bootleg copy of the soundtrack. But then I got the actual CD for Christmas from my sister, and I remember like she had got it for me for a Christmas present, but it was like hidden, and I had found it, and I was like, oh, that's definitely for me. I know this is for me, and I wanted to open it so bad.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much. This is why I do this podcast, because I love the attachment we get to the movies, the stars, and like how it's more than just a movie for a kid's life. It's now you get the CD, and like now this is your holiday. This is like your school break was the Bodyguard CD. You know what I mean? So that's awesome.
I listened to it every morning before school. I was like
yeah,
every morning before school, and I would watch it like every day after school for literally like a whole year, probably.
Oh my God, that is amazing. That is so awesome, Jason.
Mark's like, why did I bring him on this show?
Now I'm like, okay, we're gonna wrap it up. No, But tell me now, speaking of the songs, because the soundtrack, I mean, the movie was successful, the soundtrack even more so, right?
Yeah.
What is your favorite song from the soundtrack? Do you have a favorite? Can you pick one that you're like, this is my song from this movie?
I think my favorite one that she does live, which is I Have Nothing. And I feel like that has to become like, I don't know, it's just so powerful, and it's such a
so
beautiful
powerful.
song, and it's like so epic and dramatic, and like,
Yeah.
you know, the lyrics are so dramatic, and like the
Oh,
music and the dun dun dun, like
yes.
it's just an epic song. It's like such a like
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely epic.
intense,
Great
and her
word for that song for sure.
vocals, the biggest selling soundtrack and biggest selling female album of all time.
Yes, of all
Wow.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
You afraid I might get picked off in my snazzy running suit?
No, I'm afraid that I'm gonna have to jog with you.
But yeah, tell me about now as an adult. Has your love for this movie changed? Has it gotten stronger, gotten weaker? All these years later, do you love it just as much as you did when you were watching it every day after school?
Oh yeah, I do. Like every time it's on cable, I would just watch it. Like I would just have it on, like, oh, like, you know, it'll be at like the Oscar part, and I'm like, okay, there's like 20 minutes left. I'll watch it, or you know.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was gonna watch it last night in preparation for this, and I was like, I don't really need to prepare for this.
You don't
I've
need
seen
to.
it so many times. I could probably like do the whole movie for you. So I was like, I don't need to watch it.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's okay.
Jason, you need to do a one-man Bodyguard. Oh my God.
Oh,
I would watch
maybe
it.
One day. Maybe one day. That's
I know you
actually
probably
pretty
know
epic.
every line, you know every note, so think about it, okay? We'll watch it for sure.
That's put on the bucket list.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that.
But that's great.
But,
So you still love it so much.
I do. I remember when Whitney died in 2012, there was like a special screening of it and in the movie theaters. And I was so excited because I had never gotten to see it in movie theaters. I only got to see it on the bootleg, and then it was on TV. So I definitely went, and it was just as good seeing on the big screen, and I think a lot of stuff actually clicked more when I saw it on the big screen that time too, because like I said, I was watching it when I was a kid, so like you don't really get stuff when you're a kid, especially like adult movies, and then you just know it so well, like you don't really pay attention that well, but sitting in the movie theater, you kind of like had to keep watching clearly, and then that's when I got the whole doll thing, and I think I didn't understand that he had like the Reagan thing. I think I was always confused by that when I was a kid. I was like, what?
Well,
so like I
also
never really got that.
The timing is a little weird. And also, I admit, I didn't even know that. I thought that was like made up for the movie. And I was like, wait, really? And so I Googled, right? I didn't.
Reagan really got shot. I was like, what?
I didn't realize he got shot. Yeah, in 1981. So that's kind of cool that the movie used that. It's also kind of ballsy, but I like that.
I know,
but
yeah.
It's weird because when you think of the timing, you know, I assume the movie came out in 92, probably filmed in 91, right? 91, I know they announced they were going to be the leads in 1991. So 91, 92, that's like over 10 years since the attempted assassination. So I'm like, did Frank not work for 10 years? I'm kind of confused.
Yeah,
right?
that was really confusing. Yeah, and I never really got that. I'm like, he wouldn't have been gone from the scene for 10 years because like, why would they seek him out? Unless that was like a big thing, it could have made a bigger plot. I guess they could have.
Which could be interesting. But also, I feel like, do you even really remember? I mean, yeah, I guess we remember people we worked with 10 years ago, but would you be so friendly with him? And would you be like, you know, because he even has those friends. Speaking of Home Alone 1 and 2, the actor that plays Uncle Frank is one of his friends at like the FBI.
Oh, he's one of the FBI. I never realized that until now.
Yes,
oh my
it's
gosh.
so funny. So, oh my God, can you imagine
he's
being
like,
that guy?
Good money,
I don't know
huh?
his name,
it's good money.
But yes, good money. They're obsessed with that. Yeah, which there's some really interesting lines like that. The guards, the guys that do this for a living. It's interesting to kind of be in their mindset. Good money, huh? Better than working in politics. I think it's Uncle Frank, not Frank Farmer, but Uncle Frank from Home Alone. I think he says a really interesting line that still rings true today. How because he went from politics to showbiz, right? And he's kind of like not sure about it. But they say to him, it's the same thing. Like politics is showbiz anyway. And I was like, ain't that the truth?
Which is true. Yeah.
Right?
Wow. I never brought that connection till now. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
definitely the truth.
Nothing has changed since 92.
Okay,
right?
Lawrence Kasdan.
Whenever that line was written, maybe
right? 75.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, can you imagine being that actor having Home Alone 2 and The Bodyguard? I mean, he must have been living large 30 years ago. I hope he was, right?
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah, so favorite scenes. I mean, I love the scene, which I think is some of her best acting when she asked Frank on a date, like after. Oh, I guess let's go to the Queen of the Night scene. I love that whole
Oh,
sequence.
love that. And that's
So,
my favorite song from the soundtrack, I have to
oh,
say.
it's so good, right?
I love, because again, like you were saying, how I Have Nothing is epic. Queen of the Night is also this kind of crazy theatrical, epic, like
It
dance rock
is.
song, and
Yes.
kind of unlike what Whitney normally did,
hmm
you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I love
And
that
also,
scene
like
too. Tell
the
us about it.
lyrics, she like co-wrote the song
Yeah.
too, which is funny because she's not really a
Yeah.
writer, but I feel like it's so true to her like real life as we came to know that she was, more of a bad girl than we thought. But
I know. I know.
and I
Poor
don't mean
thing.
bad as
I
in
know.
like, I just mean like bad as in like fun because she was, she
Yeah,
wasn't like a perfect little angel that
totally.
everyone thought she was at the time. But no, I love the whole. So I actually love from when he's watching the Run to You video when she's like getting her hair done and he's like watching it and then she's like talking to her hairdresser and she's like wait and then she like goes and she sees him, so she's like watching him watching her. I love
Yes.
that scene so much. And then it goes into when him and the driver, the black driver, are looking for the
Yeah.
bomb underneath the car, and she comes
Yep.
out in the black robe and he's like, oh, I thought we were going to dinner. And she's like, no, we have a performance. And they go to the rock club and like it's so
Oh my
crazy and
gosh, that's
wild there.
crazy. Yes.
Yeah. And then that's when she finds out that someone's actually trying to kill her because she didn't really know. They didn't really tell her. She didn't know anything about the letters.
Yes.
Yeah. And then she's
She,
like,
she,
oh,
I forget, how does she kind of like overhears them talking about
she gets a
letters?
letter. No,
Oh,
she
she
gets
gets a
one.
letter. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
she
she gets
realizes
one
there
and
are
she's,
more. Yeah.
yep. And then like she realized it wasn't the first one. And then that's when she's like, okay, like I'm gonna take this seriously. That's why I have a bodyguard. But then she loves that tension, right? She has to be on the stage. She has that like, I gotta perform type thing. And she's like, this is one of my favorite lines. And I hope I am remembering it correctly because I didn't watch it yesterday. I should have.
Yeah.
But I think she says, no effing freak is gonna run me off stage. Do you remember
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. She's got fire, baby.
No, she has a very famous interview on Oprah when Waiting to Exhale comes out, and Oprah asks her like who you more like, Rachel Marion or Savannah from Waiting to Exhale, and she's like, oh, definitely Savannah, because if someone's trying to kill me, you don't have to tell me twice.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's really funny.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I should have been more of a bad guy, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
really pushing her to go to the Oscars because
I think
it's
so,
really her.
yeah.
She still really wants to go to the Oscars, and I feel like by
Yeah.
then she'd be smarter and be like, yeah, I don't think I can do this, even though it's so
Especially after her
tempting.
sister dies, right? Yeah.
And it's right after her sister dies. Yeah, totally. Which, how do you feel about her sister?
Her sister.
What do you think?
She's
Nikki.
fun. Nikki is a very fun character. She has the actress. I think she does her best with the material. I think it's a little heavy.
A little
like her
heavy, yeah.
a little
hard.
overacted at parts.
Yeah, like she was in a like drama thriller. There is no comedy here.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
kind of wish we understood that from the get-go, and we kind of never do. She's like so kind of supporting that then
Yeah.
later at the cabin when she gets a bigger moment, by then I'm like, oh, I like, whoa, you were like
Yeah.
so lower on the list, no offense, that like,
No.
oh, now you're actually like a key character.
key part.
I kind of need like to process that, you know, and then
So there
and
are
then
a
she
couple
gets it.
moments that set that up, like when she's like exercising like closer to the beginning,
Yep.
and then Frank
Yep.
comes in and then they're looking at like the wall, and she's like, well, I guess they were in a
photos.
band and she was the lead
Yeah.
singer and Rachel's like playing backup, which I
Yeah.
thought was interesting. And then there's another scene. So when Rachel gets the Oscar nomination, and
Right.
it's like after they slept together, and then she drops down, like Frank's at the pool with the kid with Rachel's son, and she
Yep.
drops down the newspaper. She's like, well, I guess you always knew she was a sure bet. And Frank's like, what the like
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Like, do you think, is she jealous? I mean, she's definitely jealous of Rachel, but does she want, do you think she wanted Frank, or not
I
necessarily?
think she wants
just,
whatever Rachel had. I
Yeah.
think. And I wish I mean, that's probably another thing I wish they would have like fleshed out more. I think you're right. Like just kind of like showing like doing a little more hints like that of her jealousy. I think that would have like just made more sense when that scene comes in the cabin which
Yeah.
is it's wild. It's one of my favorite scenes though.
It's wild. And it took me a second. Like, I think I had to pause and just
Mhm.
rewind because she's crying and drinking and she admits to hiring the hitman.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, okay, this is like a bombshell. And I feel like we needed a little bit more lead up or something.
Lead up to that.
But I do love that twist. That's a great twist. And then how she dies.
It's a great twist.
I guess, why did Portman want to kill
So
Rachel?
I think what it is the sister hired someone to kill Rachel, but she doesn't know. Like, she hired someone who hired someone, basically. So she doesn't know it's Portman, but Portman is the one who was hired. That's why she was like I don't know his name. Like, she's like, I was stoned. Like,
yes. Okay.
So I think she hired someone who hired someone. That's why she can't put a stop to it, because she's like, I don't know who hired this person.
Yeah, which is that's a great problem to be in. Like, even if she has regrets, they're all
there's no way to
screwed.
stop it. Which I thought I love that twist.
So then, okay, and forgive me if you already confirmed this for me, because my brain's
it's confusing.
spinning.
It's confusing.
So then, is that Portman at the cabin? I guess it is then. So then,
he doesn't know who hired him, so he's like, oh, this is just a.
And it would make sense because Portman and Frank
knows
They were
Frank.
close.
Yeah, he knows. Remember, Frank is like, this has nothing to do with this cabin. Has nothing to do with her. Like, how would he know? But it's because it's Portman knows Frank. That's how he knew. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that cabin stuff. Oh, Jason, I love it. I love the cabin. I love the setting. I love their cute little like family time where they're like playing chess and
with the dog.
His dad is so nice, and the dog. Yeah,
dad.
and how Rachel's like really focused on the dog. Like Frank walks her to the room, and still she like looks down, and we can't see the dog. The dog is not on camera whatsoever, but she's still like, good night, Sparky, or whatever. I'm like, okay, we are really pushing the dog. But I love everything about that for sure. And for a second, I thought like, wow, the film actually could just end at the cabin. I mean, another thriller would just do that, but you can't not have the Oscars. Oh my God. I actually am surprised we didn't get more celebrity cameos.
Yeah, we have who do we have? We had
we have Debbie Reynolds in a great little moment.
I always knew she was crazy.
I love Debbie Reynolds, and I love that she was given that line. That's amazing. Yeah, we have her, but like she's kind of the only person playing herself. Even, you're right, even when Nikki tosses Frank the newspaper, I thought for sure, I'm like, there's going to be a picture of someone
Julia
famous.
Roberts.
And Julia, Merrill, I don't know, Sally Field. They were all like, so maybe they just couldn't get permission or, couldn't pay them or something, right?
Yeah,
it's easier to just, But I just thought that was interesting, like, to not even get actors, I don't know, just other actors who maybe weren't super A-list, but like ones you would recognize from like TV or something. Because instead, those pictures in the paper are like, I don't know, those are just straight up like background actors, like just, So
and if it was today, they would have put some cameos. I feel like they would definitely put some.
Right. Yeah. Or at least if not pictures, at least names. We see that a lot. Like, someone's name at the time, like listed or something. But yeah, what do you think of the whole Oscars finale? I love every second of it. When they tell him you're gonna have to remove your earpiece because of the the static. It's messing up with our. I was like, oh my God.
And then when he realizes it's Portman, and he goes to like tell Tony, and he's like, he doesn't have it in his hand. He's like, oh, yes, so good.
Good. Speaking of Tony, real quick. That's what I was going to say earlier. I feel like Tony gets more screen time than he needs. And that weird fight with Farmer and Tony in the kitchen. Do you love that? That to me was the most absurd. I'm like, we are really spending a few minutes on this like full-on action scene. They're like beating each other up using like pots and pans. I'm like, this is silly, but you love it.
I love maybe it's probably silly. But, you know, this little 6-year-old me loves it.
We love silly, that's all right.
That's why it just shows because I think Tony looks like what you would think a bodyguard would look like, right? And then Frank is like this suave guy who's like, you underestimate him. And I think that's what Rachel also did. She's like, oh, we got Tony. He's my head of security. Totally, Tony doesn't know crap, and Frank just takes him out so easily. Right. I feel like a lot of straight men are kind of has their egos are kind of
oh for sure
get a little fragile here and there, and Frank had to put him in his place. Frank had to show him what's up. Like, this is mine.
I do like that they come full circle. They do have their they support each other in the end. They actually are on the same team. It just takes a long time to get there. But I just kind of thought like Tony. From the get-go, I kind of knew Tony's not a suspect. We think Nikki, we think Cy. You never really think Bill Cobbs, which I can't remember his name. I know he's her manager. Is it
Devaney?
Devaney. Bill Devaney. Yes. Oh, there you go. You know what? Why Google when you have Jason? You know it's not Devaney, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of knew it wasn't Tony. I'm like, nah. So I guess I was just like, I would have rather given more time to Nikki. Like, also to not only to give her a little bit more like creepy times, because she's sort of like looking at them from afar when they're like flirting and walking, but also to like maybe show us what she does, because we know she's Rachel's assistant, but like she's never really working, right? Or like Sai's working a lot. Like Nikki, I guess I kind of wanted one scene of Nikki with like a whole bunch of clothes that she had to pick up and like shopping bags, and she drops something, and Kevin Costner goes to like help her, just something to show like, whoa, like you need an assistant. Like I can understand something that could show us like, I understand you're frustrated, or Rachel like yelling at her.
Yeah. There was that one scene where like the little girl comes up to Rachel. She's like, I have an autograph. And then she gives the sister the camera, which I don't think is like.
Yes, that is a
kind
good
of a
scene.
hint there, but it wasn't enough though. I think you're right.
It wasn't enough.
A little more.
Give us a little bit more. And then I forgot. We get Nikki singing, which I know she was a singer, but it's sort of that weird little like Jesus Loves Me song.
Jesus Loves Me. And then Rachel just comes and like shuts her down. She just she does like the best
puts her arms around her and she's just like, I got it. Thanks, Nikki.
I know. I guess that's a good moment too.
Yeah, that's true. But okay, so going back to the Oscars, what do you make of the interesting Portman's interesting camera / gun? Because in my notes I wrote camera gun with a bunch of exclamation points. Whoa, what do you make of that?
So I guess, I mean, I guess we have to look at this in 1992. Before 9/11, because I feel like that would never happen, in a post 9/11 time.
Which makes me sad, because I do kind of love it. I feel like that is so perfectly late 80s, early 90s. What? Like, it's like a rifle sniper, like, but is it like actually attached
I think it's
to the
just
camera?
in a casing. I think it's just in a casing.
Oh, it's just in some sort of like
So
it's
that's
brilliant, but it's so
I think when I was a kid, I thought it was a camera gun. When I was a kid, I was like, oh, I didn't know they made camera guns.
Yeah. But it's really just a gun with some sort of like
thing
plastic.
Around it.
Yeah, totally. Which again, I think it would have been helpful if Farmer gets shot, he gets in front of the gun, and saves Rachel, and everyone's freaking out, and another security guard, right? Because I don't think we see the aftermath of Portman's body there, and like I think someone just needed to like pick up the gun and see that it was just a piece of plastic that fell right off or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
To clarify that, for sure.
Just to clarify, like, it's not like some cool, like, Steven Seagal style, like,
but
action
also,
movie that, like...
Doesn't it blow up, though? It blows up, because, like, Frank shoots it, and it blows up. So maybe it is a camera gun. And it's not about that now. Why does it blow up, though? Like, because a gun wouldn't blow up that way. And his face gets all, like, two-faced. Like,
Oh, you're right. Was it a bomb? Maybe? Oh, yeah, maybe it was a contraption where it was like once he pulls the trigger, he shoots, but also it's a bomb? So he was like a suicide killer?
I don't know.
Suicide hitman?
Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah, wow. Lawrence just needed, or Mick, or Kevin. You were the producer, Kevin. Yeah. Whitney can't do all of it. You need to just,
she had the music thing down.
Right? But yeah, I just loved what I screamed when I saw that. I was like, oh my God, he's pretending to be a cameraman.
How about you, Frank Farmer out there on the edge?
Rachel, I don't want to get confused about what I'm doing here.
I'm not confused.
What do you make of the samurai sword, which is like getting a little like freaky here? Like we're getting a little risque. Like he shows her the trick and just effortlessly slices her probably very, I wrote my notes. I'm sure that scarf was very expensive. Just slices it in half. And like, what do you make of that moment? That samurai sword.
I love that scene so much. I remember I would always watch Keith watched music videos on TV when we were young. Oh, yeah. So like I remember like watching the music I Have Nothing. I think it's I Have Nothing music video. That scene is in that video, and I would always be like, "Oh my God, I love that scene so much." It's just so it's like effortlessly sexy. There's something about it how it's just like he's like, I can literally like kill you right now if I wanted to. Like I had that danger that's kind of there.
Yes, that chemistry was palpable. Like how they aren't speaking, but they're saying a lot.
They're saying so much. Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. Next week will be part 2 of this discussion. And in the meantime, please follow Release Date Rewind on Instagram. Bye.